Shakira Westbrook. I'm the Business Inclusion Manager for the Office of Business Inclusion and Advancement. Today, we have the WBE Citizens Advisory Committee meeting, their regular May meeting being held today, May 21st, 2024 at 4:00 p.m. I am going to call the roll for the committee. Chair Money Canyon. Vice Chair Eric Hairston. Committee Member Cassandra Brunson. Committee Member Brittany Lowry. Committee Member Susan Morris.
Present.
Committee Member Weta Patton.
Present.
And Committee Member Odette Sanchez. There are only 2 committee members present, and a quorum is not present for us to conduct a regular meeting, so we will conduct this meeting as an information-only meeting. And then I'll now turn it over to Zachary Taylor. But before I'll do that, I would like to also acknowledge we have the Director of the Office of Business Inclusion and Advancement, Kim Millett, on the meeting, as well as Anthony Mitchell with the City of Winston-Salem and Larry Bell with the Marketing Department. And I'll turn it over to you, Zach.
All right, so this evening we have the pre-construction good faith effort review.
Recording in progress.
Fire station laundry gear wash upgrades project where MWM Construction Incorporated was the lowest bidder. All right, so for the goal information, the established MWBE project goals were 10% M and 5% W. MWM submitted 2.3% M and 0.68% for the W. And here's their affidavit D. Both firms I looked up, they were NC Hub certified. All right, so for letter A, did a representative of your company attend the pre-solicitation or pre-bid meeting scheduled by the city to inform MWBE firms of contracting, subcontracting, and supply opportunities, and to review contractor requirements of complying with the program? Here is a pre-bid email from Catherine that she sent out, pretty much saying thank you for attending. So I did attend the pre-bid. All right, so for letter B, did your company advertise in general circulation, trade association, or minority focused media concerning subcontracting opportunities? Note, a contractor must advertise in all 3 mediums to receive full value of this item. There was no attachment, supplemental attachments for this form for letter B. All right, so for letter C, did your company provide written notice to a reasonable number of specific MWBE firms that their interest in the contract is being solicited at least 10 days before bids are due to allow MWBE firms time to participate? Please provide a copy of the solicitations for quotes sent to at least 3 minority firms from the source list provided by the owner for each subcontract to be let under this contract. If 3 or more firms are shown on the source list, each solicitation shall include a specific description of the work to be subcontracted, location where bid documents can be reviewed, name of representative of the prime bidder to contact, and location, date, and time. All right, so for C, they did meet the 10-day requirement, and they sent, this was pretty much their solicitation letter that had information on it. All right, so for letter D, did you follow initial solicitation of interest by contacting MWBE firms to determine with certainty whether the MWBE firms are interested? Please include telephone log of follow-up calls made to confirm interest. So here they had a lot of different attachments like this one. it'll have the email address they reach out to. They put E here for email sent, LM for left message. So as you can see here to the side, they kind of, for each one, they have, comments where it lets you know if they made an email or left a voicemail.
Zach, may I ask a question?
Sure.
For number 3, letter C,
Yes.
we saw the notification letter that they sent. Did it show how many companies that they sent it to?
It did not. There wasn't as necessarily a screenshot from an email, normally showing the different email addresses. This was just the solicitation, so it doesn't exactly show. But on D, they do have a list of all the other firms. There's no proof that they actually, we don't have a, screenshot of that showing that this was actually sent out.
Okay, so what is the best way to score that?
It pretty much be your best judgment. You kind of make your judgment on it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And again, like I said, on D, there's a lot of different attachments like this that has a lot of different subcontractor names. They got them in alphabetical order. There's a lot of pages of this. So all of these are added here. All right, so for letter E, how did your company identify and select portions of the work to be performed by MWBE firms in order to increase the likelihood of MWBE participation, including where appropriate, breaking down contracts into economically feasible units to facilitate MWBE participation? Please provide a copy of documentation where this information was included. So for this, they had the solicitation letter again that has the information listed here. In this section, talks about the work involved here. All right, so for letter F.
I'm sorry. Could you go back to E,
Sure.
to the slide that, not this one, but the one right before it? That's what I need. Okay, thank you.
No problem. So for letter F, explain how you provided interested MWBE firms with equal access to specifications, plans, and requirements of the contract. Again, they used the solicitation letter for this as well.
Can you zoom in so they can see that?
Oh, yeah.
And if you could point out where it is for them.
Yeah. So it'll be this section here again. Where they talked about the work involved. And they also have just some other requirements about the subcontractors here on this side. All right, so for letter G.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
Do we know if anyone attended that meeting? They have it as a Microsoft Teams meeting. Am I understanding that right? For potential?
Yeah, that was the pre-bid. That was for the pre-bid conference. So I don't know. They didn't give us a list of if they attended it. I mean, it was just, actually, we do have a pre-bid. Hold on, let me see. Let me look real quick. All I got for the pre-bid was the previous slide. It may have a different email address up top. No, I don't have it. I do not know if any subcontractors attended the pre-bid right off.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so for letter G, how have you negotiated fairly with interested MWBE firms, not rejecting MWBE as unqualified without sound reasons based on a thorough investigation of their capabilities? Copy of documentation or response received from each firm responding to the solicitation must be submitted along with subcontractor quote comparison form. For subcontracts where the minority firm is not the lowest bidder, please provide copies of quotes received from all firms submitting quotes for the particular subcontract. Please provide documentation detailing reasons for rejecting any MWBE firm's bid as unqualified. So here is their quote comparison form. Here, of course, the quotes they have here in the middle, and the different work listed here.
And you said that they were the lowest bidder though, correct?
Yes, they were.
Okay.
All right, so for H, what services were used from the City of Winston-Salem's MWBE office, available minority community organizations, minority contractors, groups, local, state, and federal minority business assistance offices, and other organizations that provide assistance in the recruitment and placement of MWBE firms? Please provide a copy of this documentation. Note a contractor must utilize at least 2 agencies to receive full value. They didn't submit any documentation for this letter. And so for letter I, how did your company provide assistance and otherwise qualified minority firms in need of equipment, loan capital, lines of credit, or joint pay agreements to secure loans, supplies, or letters of credit, including waiving credit as ordinarily required? Did your company assist minority firms in obtaining the same unit pricing of the bidder suppliers in order to help minority firms in establishing credit? Please provide a copy of any documentation that could be included in the solicitation letter and or evidence of implementation from previous projects in the past 5 years advising MWBE firms what type of assistance was available. Note, a contractor can receive up to 10 points for offering and 10 points for implementation. So here on their solicitation letter, they did offer, but there was no evidence of implementation. And they offered right in the highlighted section. So for letter J, how did your company provide assistance in obtaining required bonding or insurance or providing alternatives to bonding or insurance for subcontractors? Provide a copy of any documentation. This could be included in the solicitation letter and or evidence of implementation from previous projects in the past 5 years advising MWBE firms what type of assistance was available. Note, a contractor can receive up to 10 points for offering and 15 points for implementation. Here as well, they did offer it, but there was no evidence of implementation. So for letter K, did your company negotiate a joint venture or partnership arrangement with minority firms to increase opportunities for minority participation when possible? Please provide a copy of any documentation could be included in solicitation letter advising MWBE firms what type of assistance was available or outlining any other steps taken to fulfill this requirement. Again, in the highlighted section here in their solicitation letter, they did offer, but there was no evidence of implementation. Last letter L, did your company provide quick pay agreements and policies to enable minority contractors and suppliers to meet cash flow demands? What procedures were initiated to fulfill this requirement, and how were the MWBE firms informed of this assistance? Evidence of implementation from previous projects in the past 5 years can be submitted. Note, a contractor can receive up to 5 points for offering and 10 points for implementation. So L, they did offer quick payment agreement, but there was no evidence of implementation for this. Are there any questions? Any slides I need to go back to?
No, thank you, Zach.
You're welcome.
The contractor is on the call, so I'll go ahead and let them on. Committee members, we have Ed on with MWM Construction. Ed, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this afternoon. The committee has reviewed your good faith effort for the fire station laundry upgrade project. So feel free to add any context to your good faith effort submission if you like, and if not, we can go into questions if the committee members have any.
I'd say just go into your questions.
Okay. Do any of the committee?
I'm sorry. My name is Wida, and I have a question
Yes, ma'am.
about letter B on the good faith effort. There were no
Yes.
attachments, and just wondering if you did have that documentation.
Let's see what I got here. This is my first time sitting with a committee, so I am learning as I go. Right, let's see if I can also pull up. I've got it on.
I apologize. Committee member Patton, did you say B or D?
B.
Okay, so Ed, B
Yes.
refers to, did your company advertise in general circulation, trade association, or minority focused media concerning subcontracting opportunities?
Yes, we did through email, and I also solicited through Plan Hub. And let me try to pull that up. Documents. Here we go. Winston-Salem. So we have, I have a list of documents, the utilization form. Let's see what else I have. ID of trades, pre-bid invitation to MWBE documents. Okay, there we go. That is the PDF that I had will list phone calls that were made, the type of subcontractors that are in our database. There is the quick pay and assistance document that's all attached to that as well. We have our standard form that we send out, which will list minority hub, MWBE participation on a project is encouraged. We listed what the goals were for each. And let's see, what else do we have here? And just our general solicitation for the project. Is that something that you folks do not have as the, I guess, the document B as you're referring to?
We don't have the documentation that you listed, and unfortunately, we aren't able to accept it after the good faith effort is due.
So that was part of the original packet that was submitted to the city? Okay, let's see what else we got here. So what might that mean to?
We have your solicitation letter that you provided to the MWBE firms.
Yes,
but as
ma'am.
it relates to letter B, and which committee member Patton was referring to, we
Yes,
don't
ma'am.
have the copy of your plan room that you submitted that solicitation to.
And that would have been in the packet that had pre-bid. Yeah. City of Winston-Salem Fire Department extractor installation, MWBE communications list. Wow.
So that would be specifically, did you advertise in like KPASA newspaper or do any like to a specific minority trade association, any other minority focused media?
No, ma'am. No,
Okay.
ma'am. Yeah, we have our call list that's been developed through the years with Winston-Salem, and that list continues to grow as we work with other projects. But to answer that question, no, ma'am. Other than our emails and phone calls to folks.
Okay, thank you. And letter C, I have down that it was submitted 10 days before the bids were due, but that there was no proof that this was sent to 3 different organizations, businesses. And so I was wondering if, I guess you had a reason for that.
For document C. Okay.
Yes.
Let's see what C looks like. Bear with me again, folks. Let's see if that is it. Not have that in front of me.
Would you like for me to read C to you?
Yes, ma'am, please. Yeah, I hate
it's,
to take up any more time.
No, you're fine. Did your company provide written notice to a reasonable number of specific MWBE firms that their interest in the contract is being solicited at least 10 days before bids are due?
Yes,
so we have
ma'am.
your copy of your solicitation, but there was no clear indication on the date in which you sent or the list of firms that you sent that to. We have your follow-up, but we don't have an initial list.
Okay, and again, I have this under our MW, sorry, now I'm gotten flustered, MWM construction call list, and it'll say when the phone call was made and a response.
The date that's on that call list is 4/15/24.
15. Yes, ma'am, correct. And through the addendums, emails were sent to the same groups of folks and phone calls made. So is that what you're asking for, maybe? Any backup for that?
Committeeman Patton, did that answer your question?
So it wasn't submitted just for letter C. Am I understanding correctly that it was submitted for another letter or another way?
It may have been through an overall packet. Again, I submitted all the paper copies together in an envelope at time of the bid.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any additional questions for the contractor?
I don't have any additional, thank you.
Committee Member Morris, do you have any questions?
I was just going through the quick list, and yes, the only other one I had questions for was number 8, which is letter H. What services were used by the city of Winston-Salem's MWBE office, available minority community organizations, minority contractor groups, local, state, federal minority business assistance offices, and other organizations that provide assistance in the recruitment and placement of MWBE firms. So did you reach out to any of those groups, including the city's office for MWBE, for assistance with the application?
No, ma'am, not to my knowledge. We have a staff member in our office, Austin Murray, who heads up all of that type of activity. And that could be a question I'd pose back to her.
Okay, thank you. No further questions for me.
Thank you. So that concludes the questions that the committee members have. Again, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Zachary Taylor will follow up with you regarding the results of your good faith effort. And if you have any additional questions about, your scores, you can feel free to reach out to us.
Very good. Thank you, folks. I'm sorry, I didn't feel very prepared. First time being in one of these committee meetings, so I feel underwhelmed at the moment.
You're fine. Thank you again.
Overwhelmed. Thank you all.
Have a great evening.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Is there any other additional questions or information that you would like Zach to go to before we conclude?
No, thank you.
Thank you. And then if you could submit your scores to the link provided, and then we'll follow up regarding the final score as well.
And I do have one final question. I must have backspaced and deleted for for letter K. Did your company negotiate a joint venture or partnership arrangement?
So in their letter that they have, they offered, it says MWM Construction will consider the possibility of a joint venture or partnership agreement if appropriate. So they offered, but they have no evidence of implementation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's all.
All right. Well, thank you. That's it for the agenda, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. Have a great evening.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, bye-bye.